Welcome back to another video here at Childcare Business Executive Tools. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley Benz of AshleyBenz.com. I'm the founder and creator of Childcare Business Executive Tools, and I help the overworked childcare business owner reduce your working hours without reducing the quality of your childcare center or preschool program. Now, if that interests you, if that is something that you would love to learn to do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can be a part of the family here. And also be sure to hit that little bell so that you're notified of when I post up new videos. Now, before we jump into today's video, as everybody knows here at Childcare Business Executive Tools, go ahead and grab you a pen, paper, something to sip on. If you give me 20 minutes of your time, I'm going to show you how to put 2 hours back into your day. Let's jump into today's video. And before I hop into today's video, I just want to say that I am so excited to be back. It has been a wild last 6 months. I'm sure that you as well have had some crazy things happening in your life. And so for me, I just had to really take a step back to come back in and get some clarity. But I am super excited to be back, and I'm super excited to bring you guys some great new content. And what's going to be happening this week is that I'm actually in the process of recording new videos here for this channel. I am going to be doing batch recordings, and so I will be releasing weekly videos and getting back into releasing weekly videos here on this channel that is going to help you not be so overworked in your childcare business and help you and teach you basically how to reduce those working hours without reducing the quality of your program. So I just remember me being an owner, it was one of those things that I desired. I really desired being able to reduce those working hours, not have to be at my center all the time, but I felt the need to have to always be there because I was afraid that, they just wasn't going to run it like me. So anyway, I'm super excited about bringing in that new content. And so I'm going to be recording this week. And while I am doing that, I want you guys to watch this brand new video. Now, this video was an interview done with Christie Owens, who has a MS degree in leadership and organizational management. She has worked with hundreds of people and teams in Fortune 500 companies. And so we did this video last year, but due to COVID, we did not get able to release it. And so today, I am going to be releasing this video to you. And just to give you a little bit of background about Christie, and then we'll hop into the video. So Christie Owens just recently left her 9-to-5, where she spent the past 5 years leading teams of over 100 people in several Fortune 500 companies. And she actually just recently left her 9-to-5 to open up her own childcare business. And so today she's going to be sharing her knowledge that she has gained from working with these Fortune 500 companies on basically how to attract a 5-star team. And we all know that having a team to support you is one of the things that you have to have if you're going to be able to reduce your working hours at your childcare center or your preschool program. So without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and share this interview with you guys. And as always, any information will be down below the video, so be sure that you do check that description box. And I will see you guys back next week, if the Lord's will, with some brand new content. But until then, go ahead and watch the video today with Christie Owens. So if you want to learn from an amazing leader herself, who is going to be giving the same information and value that she provided to several Fortune 500 companies, then you gotta stay tuned. Let's jump into this amazing interview with Christie Owens. Today, I am super excited to introduce to you a very special guest, Christie Owens. Christie, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So Christie worked her way through college, spending most summers in childcare centers and summer camps. After she graduated with her bachelor's in psychology, including 36 hours of education credits, she accepted a director role at the child care center where she had been the school-age teacher. She led the center of 50 children for almost 2 years. She helped maintain a Head Start partnership and were a part of Ohio's Step Up to Quality program. Now, recently, Christie spent the last 8 years in different leadership roles for several Fortune 500 corporations. She received a master's degree in executive leadership and organizational change, which may sound really fancy, she says, but the foundation of everything I learned was in emotional intelligence. It taught me how important things like empathy and self-awareness are in life, school, and work. The saying really is true that everything you need to know, you learned in kindergarten. Christie just left corporate America to come back to her first love and has since started her own childcare business back in November and is still sharing her knowledge of executive leadership and organizational change with others. So again, Christie, I am super excited for you to be here. And today, Christie is going to share some of that great stuff with us right now. So let's go ahead and dive right into this conversation, Christie. And so let's go ahead and talk about one of the challenges that a lot of center owners face, which is just really finding the right staff. So when it comes to actually creating that star team, what have you seen actually works?
Yeah, so I think sometimes we dive deep when we're selecting a team into credentials and experience and things like that. And at the end of the day, it's really about a leader being intentional on bringing those individuals together and having the right chemistry amongst the individuals. And that is actually created intentionally. It's not something that just happens naturally. And we probably all know, I'm assuming everybody in here is a childcare owner. So we all know that the little spats and, interpersonal issues and conflicts can take us away from our work quite a bit. So if we can get out in front of those and really create a cohesive team that works together and works for each other, we can save ourselves a lot of time and essentially money.
Yeah. And I love that word intentional, because intentional means that you are actually thinking about, you're putting thought into putting these group of people together. And I know me and you were talking before we started recording about that's kind of how I started, my own childcare business, is because I previously worked in childcare programs and the management was off. There was a lot of, just different personality types. And sometimes people just don't know how to work with each other. So I love the fact about being intentional about creating that team.
And you're always going to have different types of personalities.
Yeah.
And so it's really up to the leader to set a precedent and be the thermostat for creating that team.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. So I know one of the things that you talk about is building self-awareness. Can you touch upon why this is so important as a leader of your center, school, or program?
Yeah, I think anytime you interact with your team or your team members or your teachers, that if you walk away from it without self-reflecting and thinking about what could I have done better, or what maybe did I do that could have created the reaction that I got, whether it was good or bad, then we're failing to see how much of an impact we as leaders have on how our teachers are performing. It is like your teacher's performance is essentially a reflection of you. And we really have to own that. If you're frustrated with your team or a team member, you really have to look at what you're doing or not doing to help them get there. It is our responsibility to make sure our teachers are performing, period.
Yeah, yeah. I know that was something that was hard for me, is the self-awareness, aspect of it. And so I know it's like an eye-opener. I feel like that, being a leader, you learn a lot about yourself. And sometimes
you are not alone in that either.
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
leaders
true.
struggle, so
yeah,
that's not unnormal.
Yeah, but sometimes it was really difficult, when I would realize, oh my goodness, maybe it's the way I came off, or maybe it's not so much of what I said to that employee, but it's how I said it. So yeah, self-awareness is a really big thing, for sure. And then our last question, leading with empathy. And when I was reading your bio and just some of the work that you have done with the Fortune 500 companies, and I saw that leading with empathy, that really stuck out to me, because empathy is something that I think that we all need, especially right now, that we all need. But why is this crucial?
Well, just strictly from a business standpoint, it's better for your bottom line to lead with empathy and to treat your teachers as human beings, because they are, and acknowledge their emotional states, acknowledge that they have emotional needs, that they're not just an input-output machine, that there are varying things going on in their lives that they can't just drop at the door. We used to hear that all the time in corporate America, is you need to drop your personal life at the door. That's just not feasible for most of us. And we as leaders have to acknowledge that and help our teachers through all of that, to make sure they're getting, the best, they're giving the best to the kids, and that we're getting the best out of them. So it's absolutely fiscally, if not just like on a human level, better, but it financially is beneficial as well. Yeah. It will decrease turnover, it will increase performance, all of the above.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that too. I know that was, now I've never agreed with that statement as far, I've never been one. I know there's a lot of corporate, it is leave it at the door, come in here, get what you need to get done. And I know one of the things I would always tell my staff members is, like, if you do have an issue going on, like in the morning before you get here, let me know, come in my office, let's talk about it. And if it's something that you feel that you can't, do your job today, or maybe we need to put you on more of a light duty where you're not so much for the kids, let's work that out. But we are all human beings, and we all have issues, and it is very hard. I know even as a mom right now, we're going through, dropping our kids back off at school during this crazy pandemic. And so, for me, I mean, even this morning I dropped off Nova, she's still dealing with that separation anxiety. So for me to have to go into work, and I was like kind of teary-eyed in the car. And so I can only imagine, having to go into a job where they're wanting to tell me, sorry, leave that at the door. You know what I'm saying? Which,
right.
I can pull myself together, but still.
Well, and even, and those things are everyday things for most people, right? Somebody's got something going on almost every day. But even if you just look at from a preferences standpoint, people need different things from their leader. And I'll get into that more in the training, but people have different preferences that aren't the same as yours. And being able to acknowledge that ties back to the self-awareness, knowing what your preferences and strengths are may not be what your teacher's preferences and strengths are. And being able to acknowledge that and navigate that will, again, retain your employee and increase their satisfaction, and just overall get more out of them and make for a much more peaceful workplace.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you're kind of creating like a family kind of
Absolutely.
in some ways, so that definitely makes sense. And then I said the last question was the last question, but it wasn't. This is what I wanted to bring up. But one of the things that I, of course, strive for is helping my audience and members like lead a better work-life balance. So having that empathy, one may not realize how that affects people. And I think we just talked about this, staying actually with you, which does affect that work-life balance. So can you kind of like, real quick, just kind of share with the viewers, how does that connect with creating that great work-life balance?
Yeah, well, so first of all, when you set some things in place early, you do some heavy lifting early to create some expectations, implement some values, you have one-on-ones, and you're having probably more meetings than usual because you want to set the standard and the temperature for your business. You will then set in motion a trajectory and the speed at which things should be moving, so that they're essentially automated, that people understand how to work with each other from that standpoint. And it becomes much more automatic because you've created a culture. We by nature, human beings don't really work as a team by nature. It has to be very intentional. So you have to do some things up front. But then once it's up front, you are just touching base and, maybe holding once a week meetings instead of daily morning meetings. And, things become more in place. And then on the other side of that is with the employee retention. If you think about when you're hiring, how much time you spend creating job postings, interviewing, calling people back, running background checks, collecting medical before they start, and then doing all the required trainings that generally the state requires. It's a process, especially in our industry, to hire. You don't want to constantly do that over and over again. It's not McDonald's, like you have to have a lot of things in place to get people started. So you don't want to constantly turn over people. And then also, like I said, you don't want to have to put out the fires of team spats and interpersonal conflicts and this person didn't do this and why is she doing that and I don't have to do that. You don't want to have to be pulled away from that. And when you create a team environment, they're already working with each other, and generally you're giving them the tools, that I'll share with you to help them deal with some of that themselves.
Yeah, I love that. And then what that does is that removes you from the picture. They can deal with, let them handle that. You've trained them on how to deal with that. And then you can go off and, do those CEO things that you should be working on. So that is, wow. I love this. This is great. Okay, y'all. Well, listen, Christie is going to help us dive deeper into this with a training titled Leaders Go First, Creating Teams That Care. And so she's going to dive into this deeper with you guys, with members. And so if you're not a member of the Childcare Business Executive Automation Academy, be sure to check the links in the description box where you can get full access to Christie's training and other trainings that help you live a better better work-life balance as a childcare business owner. And then Christie, where can they find you if they want to connect with you?
So I'm at facebook.com/starseeds, STARSEEDS.IL.
Okay.
For Illinois. So facebook.com/starseeds.il.
Okay.
You can just shoot me a message.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to put all that down in the description box for you guys to easily click on. So perfect. Again, thank you for being here and taking care of my members today, Christie. Y'all are in for a treat. We could already see that, right? I mean, this conversation, I could have sat here and just kept on talking, but I'm gonna let Christie do her thing. And so, and again, she's gonna take good care of you guys with her training titled Leaders Go First, Creating Teams That Care. I will see you if you are a member in our next week's activities. And if you're watching over on YouTube, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again, Christie, for being here.